So last week I updated you guys a little bit on my training and talked about how I was just gonna train by myself for like 2 weeks until like March 24th, and then I would ask for expert help. Well, I kind of lied about that. Well, I guess not intentionally. I was just wrong. And in today's video, I want to basically just look at form from my fieldwork for the past 3 days, because I have been doing fieldwork every day. I will be doing fieldwork today, and I'm trying not to just like film videos and do that so I can really dial in and focus on it, and then after the fact, we can go ahead and look at it. But right now, in case you guys are also going through this process, I'm just gonna say Formwork is dumb and stupid and lame. Okay, now that all my pouting's out of the way, let's actually do something productive. But being completely honest, if you're just trying to score better at disc golf and you're not trying to like throw crazy far or get on the pro tour or anything, I don't honestly think that Formwork is necessarily the #1 most important thing. Learning to score better potentially would be, which is putting, upshots, shot selection, disc selection, wind reads. And those are the things that I think with very mediocre to bad form, I was able to get to 954 rated within about 10 months of playing, because I focused mostly on that and not at all my form. Now I'm trying to throw farther because I want to eventually cash at a pro tour event, and this is the journey. Let's go ahead and get over to my office, hopefully with a little bit of coffee, and look at the progression from these past 3 days to see the things that I am doing well. Actually looking back at form from like way back when, before I even started this journey, to see something that I think I was actually doing better than I am right now, which is really embarrassing and sad. Actually, 2 things. I should probably write those down. Not sponsored, but hook it up, guys. Come on.
Well, it looks like today I'm just a little liar boy because we're in a parking lot, not my office. My wife had a few more meetings than I thought, so we're actually gonna take a look at the form here, and we're at the field that I'm gonna be doing fieldwork at today, so I might be able to show you some examples of what I'm talking about. But honestly, everything started where I like to film a lot just because it shows me how I'm actually doing, and that is on the course. I went out and filmed my Jester Disc Love video. Then after that, I actually recorded some shots because I like to just keep a tripod in my bag to make sure that I'm actually doing what I want to do. And I noticed something interesting if we take a look at these shots. This is the longest hole at the course, and we're gonna be just taking a look at how I'm planting. I'm still looking forward, which is good with my head. I start to maybe turn away a little too much, but that's not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is right here. I become fully extended early before I hit the ground, then my heel hits, and if you look at the direction my elbow is going, it's going down and kind of dipping the disc. And then I end up just kind of misreleasing, falling over my brace. It's not a good shot. But I noticed that, and I thought honestly that it was gonna be an easy fix. Because if any of you guys remember, a little bit ago, I actually had a video where I talked with Gannon Burr. We were through text. He'd taken a look at my form, and one of the things that he noticed from the back view was that I was doing that little dip thing.
So the one thing I see is that when you're pulling through like this with the disc like that. Try to get the disc to be like that. It allows you to get your elbow a little higher up. If your arm's like that, it's hard to get your elbow up without being in an uncomfortable position. So tilt it down like that when you're pulling through. So you see a lot of pros, they reach back and pull through like that. We'll go here, reach back like that, and we'll pull through like this almost, because it allows you to get tighter to your body, and especially with your shorter arms, it'll be easier to get the disc tighter and the elbow out and create that pop if your arm is like that. So tilt the disc vertical like that.
And the disc was coming kind of at this angle over my elbow, and then I was having to recorrect before I throw out. And that path loses trajectory and causes you a lot of times to throw nose up. Honestly, I got thinking about this because Iceberg TV did a video that was like about my video. It was a little bit trippy, but it made me think, oh, I'm just gonna go out the next day, film an easy video called I Finally Took Gannon Burr's Advice, and I still may make that video, but I went out and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do what Gannon told me, which was to tip the disc down in my reach back, then come across and pull through with it anhyzered, because when you tip it this way, look at the way that my elbow's pointed, and it comes up and I'm dipped, and then I come through. Now when I tell you that I thought this was gonna be easy, I thought I was just gonna go out and in like 10 minutes figure it out. I think there's some more problems though. Let's take a look at the next day's form. So the next day, I actually went to another course up in Boulder, Colorado actually, and I shot some of me on the tee. We're not really gonna look at it too much. These aren't really some great holes. And then I actually went to a field. But if we take a look real fast, we can see I was really just gonna focus on pulling back on anhyzer, and this looks pretty good. I'm kind of striding out on Annie, and up until this point, everything looks very good, exactly how I want it. And then the bane of my existence happened, and I could not figure for the life of me how to correct this. I'm just gonna flip to another thing because it basically happened that whole entire day. We'll go to another tee pad, and as you can see, I'm trying to be like, okay, reach back on anhyzer, come through on anhyzer. Thinking a little bit too much about the off arm, just basically got to quiet it and not make it do anything. I'm like, okay, pulling through on anhyzer, and then I just snap the disc out. Super easy, look at that. But then you get to my actual form. And I'm gonna throw this disc, and we're gonna see, okay, reach back on anhyzer, everything exactly like what I wanted. Boom, why does it get to flat, and now pass flat, and now I dip again, and now I throw it out on hyzer? What is going on? Disc golf form is a weird beast to try to nail down, especially when there's not a ton of perfect information about it out there. We'll go to some fieldwork sessions with actually we'll go to the field and take a look at some actual drives as well. This is a fairway driver, my Birdie Disc Golf Supply Strike. You can see pretty similar. I'm keeping my eyes forward. That way, as I'm striding, I am leaving the disc behind me and coiling at this point. I do think I'm a little bit too forward in my coil, and we'll get to that. But as you can see, I'm fully extended at this frame, and my foot has not even come close to hitting the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like a bunch more frames. And honestly, at this point, this is a little bit better because I keep the disc back there and I don't get it past flat. So when you see this pull through, there's still a slight dip, but it's honestly pretty negligible. And I think a lot of that has to do with just me not being tilted enough. My brace, overall, this is looking a lot better, but let me show you a little bit of like the root cause, at least from what I'm thinking about this. And to be honest, we don't really need to take a look at any more form from that day because it all looked trash, just like that. Working on this stuff is not going to be like an overnight fix. Sometimes it might be for you, but especially when I've ingrained this habit of mostly just having poor timing and falling into my brace, not falling down on my brace. Falling into it, meaning I'm kind of leaning into it and falling into it and leaving this behind me. And because of that, the disc pops out because I don't have my timing right. I'm focusing on getting that full extension, and I really could be focusing a little bit more on when I come back, making sure that my heel hits the ground before I fully extend, and honestly not even fully extending. On Instagram, DG Spin Doctor, Yanni's Going Places, he posted a video where he's like, maybe fully extending will give you some extra distance, but so many of the top pros, Seppo Payu, I don't forget his other examples, but I know Seppo just freaking bombs it, but I think Calvin as well, they don't fully extend, ever. They leave it here. And when you leave your arm in this position, I can't really tip the disc up, because to do that, my radius and ulna, this part of the arm, has to flip this way. And that's what causes me when this flips this way, because I'm too late on my timing and I'm already fully reached back before my foot hits the ground. When that happens, to keep the disc back here, I have to extend somehow more, and that causes my arm to open up, the disc to come like this, and now when I pull through, the only way that my arm can pull is in this line. As compared to if I stayed in anhyzer, it's no shoulder stuff, because that's the way that my radius and ulna, this forearm, is positioned. So when I'm tipping the disc back like that, the biggest thing for me, I think, is timing. And I still haven't fully fleshed this out, making sure that my eyes are forward through this step, just like I watch a lot of pros. Ezra Aderhold has phenomenal form. I like to watch him. All pros I've seen, as I watch more and more pros, their eyes always seem to be forward, not until they hit this X step, but through the X step. And then they kind of glide out on this foot, keeping their weight balanced, and that allows them to coil as they do that and keep the disc on anhyzer, because then my elbow is going to pivot in, which brings the disc into this power pocket, power window, whatever you want to think about it. I'm not getting into those debates, but it brings it into this position right here, or even like this, just not past flat. I know I've seen some people do that. I know Ezra Aderhold even does that, but I honestly don't even know how he does that and then gets it back. Actually, I do. And that's the other thing I tried to work on yesterday. So maybe I should have just like followed the script of this video and then figure that out. One thing is where my arm is placed, where my timing is bad. The second is not falling onto my brace. It's falling into my brace, and that means I'm leaning forward instead of staying straight and with my back straight against the target. And now when I come through, I'm not trying to go from this position to this position. I'm trying to go from this position to this position. And just that movement, I'm not moving these parts of my body at all. I'm just moving from here into my brace forward. Everything goes down and this comes up. So let's take a look at yesterday's form. I know these videos are a little bit much, honestly, especially just because, I mean, it's just a lot of form talk, but that's what I'm doing. And I want to take you along that journey. Honestly, let it be an archive for if I ever catch an approacher event, how I got there, how I got this good form, giving you all my thoughts as much as I can. And I'm starting to post a little bit more of just tons of reps of my form on my second channel, Bedance's Bogies. So go subscribe over there if you haven't yet, or if you want to. But real quick, let's take a look at yesterday's form. Now, it is not perfect by any means. As I come back, I don't really flip the disc past flat. And because of that, I'm able to bring it forward much easier into that pocket and snap it out. There's still a big thing that I need to work on with actual snap, but that's actually a video I'm about to film after this. That's gonna be my fieldwork session today that I work on. But as you can see, I'm really focused on being a little more tilted, like in my hips, tilted over. And I should have shot more on the side profile, just like I was shooting at the end there on this camera, because that would show me that I'm honestly, because I noticed it today when I was just doing like some shadow reps and like trying to feel balance in my body, that I'm leaning, tipping forward with this shoulder instead of staying flat and having the flat of my back basically hit a wall and then brace forward, because when I hit a wall here and all my weight and momentum comes forward, that's a big truck trying to go up a big hill, everything drops down like you see in the pros form. They're not like, from what I understand, they're not like twisting into that. And this is where I'm just gonna say, once again, I'm not a coach. I try to listen to people from what seems to make the most sense to me. And from what I like see in pros form, it's hard to see correlation versus causation. Let's see if I have a good form of what I'm trying to talk about here, because I really tried to work on quieting this left arm, because if you see in this frame, still, I'm a little bit too early on my timing. So I'm basically fully extended here, and I'm gonna tip, so that's not good at all. But my arm comes up way too much, and then it kind of just twirls around, and I think that is honestly one of the biggest problems as well. And essentially, that is not bringing this up here and then through, because when I bring it through here, you can see it's moving this shoulder subconsciously, unconsciously, one of those two. But when I have my normal form, I always tend to bring this up. It's just a habit. I don't know why, because it could stay here and do the same exact thing and honestly probably do it better than up here, because that's bringing me forward. That's another realization. That's honestly helping to bring me forward instead of just coiling here. Instead of just coiling here, bringing it up is bringing my back forward and causing me to kind of lean forward in that brace. I'm wanting to quiet that down and make sure that it stays here, because when it comes around this way, you can see it's pushing my whole body forward as compared to just staying at my side and letting the rest of my body do the work. Because I'm prematurely rotating, I'm ejecting the disc a little bit too far to the right or a little bit too late in my release. And I think a lot of that has to do with this off arm. So I'm gonna show you a couple frames where I tried to correct that, but it's gonna take a little bit. I literally saw some form from back in April, like 2 months into playing, and I was already kind of doing this little, I wanna hug myself move. Don't exactly know why, but quieting that left arm, just like Robbie C talks about, just getting it and not letting it do much. I feel very off balanced when I do that, but learning it and learning balance with it will help me to be more overall balanced in my form. And this gets to the crux as well, because both yesterday and the day before when I was doing field work, I was telling myself, hey, I'm just gonna figure this out by myself. And that was my whole plan. That's kind of how I started this video off. It's like, hey, this was my plan for a while, just to figure all this stuff out by myself. And then in a couple weeks, go and talk to people who are pros or who I respect their opinions. And then I just could not figure out that dip for the life of me. I think part of it was one day, and you're not gonna fix something in one day when you have tons of reps doing it the opposite way. So give yourself grace and time to work it out. But I also was like, maybe there are some cues that some people who know how to do this correctly can give me. And so I started reaching out for that help. So can't do it on your own. Maybe you can, but I can't. So let me take a look at this last little bit of form, and then we'll get into the final takeaways. And then I'll go do a fieldwork session and take you guys along with that for tomorrow's video. So that'll be dope. Promise it's not gonna all be fieldwork. I just am really trying to dial stuff in. And I didn't batch film videos this week, but I will probably Sunday or Monday. Probably Monday, because Sunday is gonna be busy at all the courses, and then we'll have plenty of videos coming out for you next week that are actually me throwing at courses. And I have a mini tournament thing on Saturday, tomorrow, that will be cool. It's like 3 random discs. You pick a number, they give you 3 random discs because of that, and then you go and play 18 holes. I think towards the end, I was starting to really think about it and quieting down that arm, because as you can see, as I'm rolling through all these, it's just so much. And here it is, look at this. So this is probably what I want my form to look like. I think I'm probably still leaning forward a little bit too much, but with the shadow swing, I'm focusing on not extending this arm at all. Basically doing absolutely nothing with this arm, keeping this loose, but keeping it up high. That way I'm not overextending and not being able to pull through correctly. I'm just leaving it loose and then focusing on making that left arm do essentially nothing. It's a little too high even here for my taste, but I just want it to come down on the outside of my body right there and let everything kind of come through and bring that shoulder up. Because that's the one other thing I was missing with the dip that I think Ezra Aderhold is able to do, is because he reaches back here, and even though he dips the disc down like this, when he finally weight shifts and brings all of his momentum down onto his brace, the whole back side goes down and brings this side up, meaning that the disc is still following the elbow. It never gets above the elbow, which is what causes you to kind of have that swoosh and throw those up, at least from what I understand. Maybe it doesn't cause you to do that, but that's what caused me to do that a lot. But this is what I'm pretty happy with how that is looking right there. I like it. Let's see if I actually try to do it with any throws, because look at this first one that I do it, where I try to quiet my body. This is what I'm talking about, balance, is look at this left side. The left side's gonna look a lot better. It stays small. Actually, it's still bad, and it's a lot of hyzer. Okay, never mind. Stays small. I really gotta put that on the outside. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not good at this at all. As you can tell, it is a freaking process. Not a process that I'm rocking at all. Did I even do that? Did I even like get one good one yesterday? Gosh, this journey is something else. My brace is looking a lot better though. I'm honestly thinking of just like taping my left side to my body and like making myself learn without that. Jeez, because I don't even know what my elbow's doing. It's just pushing my shoulder forward and I don't get it. Okay, let's see if I do it here. Nope. Why? Why, Anthony? Be better. That's humbling. Sick. But the biggest key and the biggest paradoxical thing with working on the form that I would just say is always the truth, I think everyone says this, maybe not everybody, but I think they should, just be loose. And the problem with that is when you're working on something, you kind of can't be loose because you're intentionally thinking about it. So you tighten up and try to work on it, but then you gotta be loose. And so you gotta work on it until you loosen up a little bit more and then a little bit more and a little bit more. And that is the beauty of this game. Beauty, frustration, those two words mean the same thing, right? If you want to check out how I think you can do a good field work session in just 30 minutes, because I had a pretty productive one, check that video out right down here. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Being frustrated about the progress, but also excited. It's like I have a lot of emotion. I'm a very emotional guy, if you can tell. So I am very frustrated, and I have those high highs where I'm very excited about I do one thing right, and I have those low lows of I can't get anything right for a lot of the session, and then I have one good shot, and I have really high highs again. So my emotions swing a lot, and I kind of liked it about myself, but definitely is a lot. So that's that. Okay. I don't know why you're still watching this, but I appreciate it. Okay, love you guys.